What is up, Bitcoiners? This is a really special episode of the Bitcoin Magazine podcast. On this podcast, I sit down with my girl, my fellow pleb, my fellow colleague at Bitcoin Magazine, Kit Stanwood. You may have seen her on Twitter, Kit Stacking Sat Stanwood. She is freaking awesome. We dive into who is Kit, how she got into Bitcoin, how she sees this world, why she's so hyped to be working for a Bitcoin company, and why Bitcoin is going to the moon. Kit got into Bitcoin and saw right through all the shitcoin noise. She channeled in on all the Bitcoin signal and is here for all the right reasons. I think you guys are really going to like this one. If you don't follow Kit on Twitter, make sure to give her a follow. If you don't follow her on Instagram and all that other good stuff, make sure to give her a follow. She's the one who's running a lot of the things that you see on Bitcoin Magazine social media. So you're already following her by following us. But regardless, you're going to want to follow Kit. She is awesome, and you're going to really, really enjoy this show. What is up, Bitcoiners? I am sitting across from a colleague, a friend, a fellow Bitcoiner, someone that I'm just so excited to have a part of the Bitcoin Magazine and the BTC Inc. team. I have Kit Stanwood, Stacking Sat Stanwood here. What's up, Kit? How's it going?
Hello, hello. And hello to all the Bitcoiners out there.
So, Kit, I reached out to you to set up this podcast like 3 months ago or something like that, and we just kept rescheduling it. But since then, you've actually started at Bitcoin Magazine, and we've got to meet in person in Nashville, and yeah, here we are. So I guess, like, why don't you tell the Bitcoiners out there about who you are, like what you're doing in the Bitcoin space, and I guess maybe you can even talk about what it's been like working at Bitcoin Magazine.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for having me on the podcast. This is so amazing. Going from like podcast to working here. And it's perfect role for me. I do a lot of social media management with Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. So if you're not following us there already, go follow us and hang out with me online. It's just been so amazing. I feel like I've been trying to get a role like this, and I've been thinking about it for a really, really long time since when I worked at a company doing IT project management for like AWS stuff in 2014 or so. And that's when I started my blog. I do lifestyle blogging. I started off with some beauty blogging. I literally just took things around my house and started taking pictures of it and posting it and tagging brands and writing on a self-hosted WordPress blog. So that's kind of how it started. I started to transition it into fashion after that. I've gotten to do a lot of fun stuff like New York Fashion Week and a lot of different trips. And now I've kind of gotten into like adventure and eating out at restaurants and places to stay. So it's kind of turned into more of a travel blog recently. But so I do that as like a hobby. And so it translates really well into what I do at Bitcoin Magazine. And then it's just been like a dream. Meeting everyone in Nashville was really cool for that weekend, for the all hands meeting. And it's just been really awesome since then.
Yeah, I mean, again, one of my favorite things about this job is one, like finding and discovering cool Bitcoiners. And then two is when the team comes together, because we mostly work remote, but when the team comes together once a quarter in Nashville, hang out, meet everyone in the flesh, drink, hash things out, pivot the company, whatever that needs to happen to keep this train, rolling down the tracks. It's always great. And, the next trip is already getting planned. And on top of that, me, you, and like a bunch of other plebs are and Bitcoiners on the Bitcoin Magazine team are going to be going to Dallas next month, or I guess this month when this episode gets out, but later here in August, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's going to be my first conference that I get to go to, so I'm super stoked. And being in Nashville was the first time I was around like that many Bitcoiners, and it was just really cool. And the company just let us go shoot guns and hang out. Super fun.
Yeah, I mean, like, what is it like working for 100% Bitcoin only company with Bitcoiners? Like, we're not even talking about like crypto people, like only Bitcoiners at the company.
I feel like before I even like thought about getting into the space, I wanted to be at like a Bitcoin only company because I'm a maximalist. So the word crypto kind of makes me cringe a little bit. Sometimes on social media, I have to like go through a hashtag or something with it just because that's where some people hang out that we want to like convert over to full Bitcoin because it just makes sense. So it feels relaxing knowing that I'm not going to get like attacked on Bitcoin Twitter for, shilling shit coins. I don't know if I could live with myself if I had to like market for some company that had like a bunch of shit coins on their thing. I couldn't do it. I couldn't live with myself. Just knowing that it's all scams and most of those coins are going to go to zero, if not all of them eventually, so I couldn't do it.
Yeah, but I mean, even more than that, it's just like, honestly, I go through Slack and it's like they're on Bitcoin Twitter, they're on Bitcoin Twitter, they're on
Yeah,
Bitcoin Twitter.
I
It's
love
just like,
it.
it's almost like a curated list of like some of the coolest Bitcoiners out there all working together trying to make something happen that's
Yeah.
Bitcoin related.
I feel really lucky to work with so many really intelligent, smart people. I being in the office, looking over like Dylan's shoulder, I was like, how do you do the deep dive newsletter every day? Like, or so intense with all these charts and everything. And he was showing me the process that he was going through. I'm like, I don't even think back in college when I was on like Adderall that would have worked. You know what I mean? They're just killing it. And Nick
He's a
Hoffman
beast.
also, they're just cranking out all these really good articles. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I'm so freaking proud of Nick Hoffman. He's been working with me for like, I don't know, like 14 months now. He was actually my very first hire as like the director of Bitcoin Magazine, was bringing on Nick Hoffman to take over Twitter. And the kid has grown so much. He's gone from like, just not even 21-year-old, young buck, super green, just knows Bitcoin Twitter. That's it. And now he's like leading a team of 3 people. He is in charge of pushing out like all the Bitcoin news coverage that we're doing at Bitcoin Magazine, and helping us really achieve like some of our most important goals. So Nick Hoffman is the man.
Yeah, this group keeps me young.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. We have some let's call it more senior people, but there's a lot of young bucks that are pulling their weight for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I guess, Kit, I want to hear about like what's your Bitcoin journey? You said you're a maximalist, Bitcoin only. There's not a lot of lady fashion travel bloggers that also would say like I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, and be on Twitter just talking about Bitcoin. So how did you discover Bitcoin? How did you get to Bitcoin only?
I'm excited to share the journey with you. I don't know if I've talked about it full length on any of the podcasts I've been on yet. So I heard about Bitcoin in 2014 at a party. My friend was he wasn't trying to, he was buying drugs off of Silk Road and he was telling me about it. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, wait, I don't think you can do that. You're going to get in trouble. Um, and he's smart too. He was working at Google as a developer and stuff. So very smart guy. But then he started to tell me about this like internet money currency that he was using to get the drugs. Just, like weed or whatever, nothing crazy. But yeah, so that's when I first heard about it. And I tried to figure out how to buy it. So I got on a lot of these forums and it was really difficult. I just couldn't figure it out. I was like, oh, I don't know. Um, and you can't feel bad about something like that because you don't know what would have happened within those years if you would have lost your wallet, defrays, or what could have happened. And I probably missed out on a lot of shitcoining as well throughout those years. But it put the seed in my brain about this Bitcoin thing. And at that time too, I was researching into Netflix a lot for a finance class that I was in college. And it just kind of seemed like the trend was everything like TV streaming, everything was going onto the internet. So it kind of made sense that, money would go online. It'd just be easier, quicker, and you wouldn't have to carry around like dollar bills and like coins. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I couldn't figure it out though. Got on a bunch of those forums. So I invested in stocks and things like that at the time. Fast forward a few years, I started this like spiritual journey or whatever. Because like, and also at the same
So
time,
what
like,
year are we at now?
so this is 2017. So like
Okay.
from 2014 to 2017, I was like ending college. I was still in a party mode and things like that. So it also wasn't really like a great time to like get into that kind of stuff. So 2017, I started this like spiritual journey. I was raised Catholic, and I think there's like a lot of good principles and things that you can learn in religion. But like I feel really close to all that stuff now. And so with the spirituality aspect, and it kind of is like an appendix sometimes to religion, because you can like see some of the scripture and like look at it in a different way because you're looking at it from a spiritual way. But anyway, I was following this YouTuber who kind of who like helps you expand your consciousness and your awareness and bring in things like money, health, wealth, and love, and all the other stuff into your life. So I've been watching him for about 3 years, from 2017 to 2020. And right in the 2020 crash of April, he got on and was talking on his Instagram stories, and someone had asked him how he got rich, because he kind of insinuated he got rich off of like making a video off of YouTube a day. And I was just like, there's no way that he afforded that house with like YouTube money. And so for like 15 seconds on his Instagram stories, he mentioned he got rich off of Bitcoin. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I forgot about that. And so I'd seen it on like Robinhood, which is what a new mistake. Bought it on Robinhood that week. I bought a little Dogecoin first. I bought like $5 worth just to get my feet wet off of Robinhood. There was like this anxiety or fear about like taxes and all this other stuff, like before getting into crypto that I had. But you know, I always tell myself like the first time you do something, it's going to be difficult, but then after that, it's just going to be like a piece of cake. Like just always that initial, like, oh, I have to figure this out kind of thing. So I just dove into it. And then I got on Twitter to make some finance friends. And after maybe 3 or 4 months, kind of started to settle into Bitcoin Twitter. And that was wild. Just like Bitcoin Twitter is another like whole beast on the internet, its own little community. So I got more than I bargained for there. So I started to learn that Robinhood doesn't let you, I didn't even know what keys were. I thought, you know, at first, like this is just some kind of stock, but like, yeah, I could use it as money probably when the infrastructure is there. I didn't really have an idea of like what it was. So learning that you can hold your own keys and like run a node and all this other stuff and set up cold storage for it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, wow, there's this whole other thing with this, what they call asset right now, that like is just really interesting. So I started to learn a lot more, started to read the Bitcoin Standard like everyone else. Some random finance YouTuber told me about that to read it though. So it was interesting that I didn't like randomly see it on Bitcoin Twitter or something. Just so many things like just were set up to like push me along this journey to like get where I needed to be. And so after reading the Bitcoin Standard, like, and also having an IT background, but I didn't have much of the finance background, it all just kind of slammed together in my mind like, wow, this is the future. And this is probably going to gobble up all of the market caps in the world, starting with like US dollar, gold, silver, all of those. And just really like understanding that anything that you want can be money. So why can't Bitcoin be the world reserve currency, you know? So after that, I started to read some other finance books and kind of realized that, you know, I come and go all in on Bitcoin. It's just, I just feel like it's the best investment that you can do. Eventually you'll be able to use it. We're always seeing countries like El Salvador picking it up as a currency. So I'm very bullish on it. And it's kind of, it's a little crazy for me to go all in before like a country accepts it as currency, but I just really believe in it. I believe in like it because it helps people, like people who don't have banks can get into the financial system now, and you can just be self-sovereign with this money. I didn't realize how like money affected you on in that level, government involvement and printing it and all the other stuff. I honestly thought before in April 2020 that we were still on the gold standard, and then learned all this stuff, and I was like, wow. And I started telling my friends, and they didn't know that either, that we had gotten off the gold standard. So it's just information. Information is key. Learning until like you die,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's many things that you mentioned that triggered my brain into like, yeah, you were primed for Bitcoin, right? Like there's a lot of layers to kind of like your train of thought, that it makes sense that why you got into Bitcoin and how you got on there. I found it really interesting that, Bitcoin Twitter is where you actually discovered about how to use Bitcoin more than just like buy this thing on Robinhood. So like tell me about like, okay, you had X amount of Bitcoin on Robinhood, maybe some shit coins. You get onto Bitcoin Twitter, you start learning about keys. Like, what did you do at that point? Like, talk me through that.
Yeah. So I learned, you can't have your keys. So I was like, oh man, I have to move this like decent amount of Bitcoin off of Robinhood, and I'm gonna get a tax hit. And then so I was like, how am I gonna plan this? And I kind of just got lucky. I sold it so that I could go buy it. And I made another mistake. I bought it off of Coinbase, which is know your keys. And I didn't really know that there was like non KYC exchanges out there like BizQ. So there was just so many things. Cause like, had I known all this stuff, I would have gone the privacy route, just because like, why not, until like you have to otherwise. And so I got it off of there, and it wasn't too bad. I like actually made some money off of the transfer off of Robinhood because I timed it well, which you can't time the market, but I got lucky. And then I also had a very interesting life event happen that some bad things with family, but it helped me. I left my job to go help my family, and it gave me an opportunity to dive into my 401k because I was switching jobs. And when you're at a job, you can't just like take out how much you want. They only let you do like certain amounts, which is, I don't like that. I don't think anyone does. Why do you have to wait till 65 to take out your 401k? Like I might not live that long, maybe, you don't know when you're going to die. So you want to be able to access your money freely and do things with it.
I hate 401k, IRA, that stuff. It's like, it's wolf in sheep's clothing. It was like,
Right.
oh, it's tax free, it's nice, blah, blah, blah. Fucking hate it. No freedom. You're tied to this thing. If you want to take your money out, there's like a huge tax to take it out early. Like,
Yeah.
F that. Biggest mistake was not taking out my 401k when I quit my first job and I had a chance to do it and buy Bitcoin at sub 5,000. That was my biggest mistake. Should have just done it.
Man. Oh, I feel that. That hurts.
It's a scam. Everything in fiat is a scam.
I agree. Yeah. So yeah, I was able to take it out. And yeah, there's a lot of taxes when you do that. But luckily I made it up like the next week because Bitcoin is so volatile that what's a couple grand? So I then got it on one of the cold card wallets because I researched for maybe 2 months on what the best wallet would be. And I really like the cold card wallet because it's air gapped, which is so smart. You can just move it from SD card into your laptop and it never touches the internet because it's all on this SD card. So got on there and, got my plate, put my seed phrase on there, chiseled it in. And yeah, now I'm just stacking sats. I'm doing lolly and fold app to, spin the wheel every day. I guess eventually I would like coin join that stuff. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do because it's all the KYC stuff. So it feels tainted, but whatever.
You don't know what the outcome is going to be, and you just have multiple bags. You got a KYC stack. You got I think it's more dangerous to mix that shit in with your other stuff. I don't know. Bitcoiners got to manage their own cold storage, but I mentally have, different categories, and I try not to mix stuff around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's stuff that I wouldn't know a couple months ago. I had to start looking into that and seeing if that matters or not, kind of thing.
All right, Bitcoiners, I want to tell you about our newest sponsor. This show is brought to you by Ledn.io. I have been super, super impressed with the guys over at Ledn. I've actually known the co-founders, Adam and Mauricio, for a very long time. I've had the pleasure to watch them build Ledn up from a tiny, tiny startup to now a super impressive institutional grade Bitcoin and crypto lender. Y'all, I'm so impressed with these guys. They are offering some of the best rates out there. I don't think anyone even comes close to touching them. You can get 6.1% APY on your first 2 Bitcoin that you deposit into Ledn interest accounts, and you can get 8.5% on USDC deposits. I mean, I know all the competitors. They're not even close. If you're going to put your crypto and your Bitcoin into an interest account, Ledn is by far the best. And on top of that, like I said, these guys are hardcore Bitcoiners, and they know the products and the services that Bitcoiners want and appreciate. They come up with B2X. It allows you to put your Bitcoin in, they leverage it up, and you can, with one click of the mouse, get twice the exposure to Bitcoin. So if you're super bullish, Ledn has you covered with a super, super easy way to get leverage with B2X. And then on top of that, they know that Bitcoiners care about your reserves. They know that Bitcoiners don't like under reserved and not full reserved financial institutions. So they are pushing the frontier in transparency in the digital asset lending space. And they are the first digital asset lender to do a full proof of reserves and proof of attestation through a Mariano LLC, a public accounting firm. So the Ledn guys, they know what Bitcoiners like. They are legit. I encourage you guys to check them out. Do your own research and go to Ledn.io. That is LEDN.io and learn more. Bitcoiners, I want to tell you guys about The Deep Dive. The Deep Dive is a new premium newsletter from the Bitcoin Magazine team in conjunction with my man, BTCization, Dylan LeClaire. Dylan is such a multifaceted and wide-ranging analyst. He does everything from on-chain analytics to macro analysis to hash rate and all that kind of good stuff. He does it all. He breaks down everything that's happening every single day with his daily dive. He's going to dive into what is happening in the market that day. So that way you don't have to pay attention to Twitter. You don't have to pay attention to anything else. You can just pay attention to the deep dive, and he has you covered. And at the end of the week, guess what? You get a weekly recap. And at the end of the month, hey, we have a freaking report, a beautiful PDF breaking down all the activity of that entire month, what it means for Bitcoin, what you can expect moving forward. The Bitcoin market is going to moon. We are here to make sure that we maximize your stack. Go to members.bitcoinmagazine.com to sign up today. And if you use promo code BITS, you can get 1 month for free. So again, the deep dive, I've been checking it out every day, and you should too. Back to the show. Yep. So, what about Bitcoin do you like? What intrigued you so much about it other than it's going to succeed and you're bullish? Because it sounds like, again, you're primed for Bitcoin. There's other things about your personality that jive with Bitcoiners and Cyber Hornets on Twitter. Tell me more.
Yeah. So, I'd say in the Bitcoin standard, the last 4 or 5 chapters really goes deep into how the network is all connected through nodes, and just the ledger made a lot of sense to me that, you need a bunch of nodes to approve it so that it's on there. A lot of the technical aspects of Bitcoin made sense to me. So that kind of got me pretty pumped for it. But then just learning that there's so many bullish people out there doing amazing things like the Lightning Network, just improving on how we can use Bitcoin and get it to people in do transactions really cheaply. I think that it's paving the way for the future, that it can really be implemented as currency in the world. I really feel like it's just a strong community of people behind it. People die in this hill for it. So the people behind Bitcoin also really got me bullish once I got into Twitter. And then from there, just learning the best podcasts and YouTubes to watch, and see people like, bullish people like Matt Odell talking about privacy and freedom. And then like Preston Syke talking about like the revolution of the monetary system. So those kind of podcasts just got me really bullish too, to see that there's just so many smart people in this space talking about these important human rights.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much more than just like number go up. Like number go up, like kind of captures all of what Bitcoin is about, because Bitcoin's so deep, right? It's about like discovering how the world works. It's about monetary economics and how money works, and like human psychology and communicating, and how pricing and capitalism and all this stuff, fiat. Like there's just so much to it. Like, what would you say is like the most life changing thing that you've learned since you've kind of gone down like the Bitcoin journey?
Man, the most life changing, like Bitcoin itself just changed my life a lot. Like before then, I wasn't really sure. I didn't have like a retirement plan per se. I was just like, oh, I'm just going to throw a bunch of stuff into my 401k, start this Roth IRA and hope I make it kind of thing. So Bitcoin has kind of given me hope. like, Michael Saylor says Bitcoin is hope. I saw that because it kind of just lets me plan for the future better. Like it's going to give me the freedom to be able to like go travel, to be able to do like more hobbies. Like I've always wanted to play like the guitar and I haven't had time to do that. That's just like a very low priority. I rather like learn how to edit a picture differently or video or something like that. So there's all these like low level like hobbies that I'm really excited about, that I bought a guitar and stuff and I just haven't gotten to do that. And and speaking in that, I feel like society as a whole will be able to like go and do what their purpose is supposed to be, and they're going to do it really well. Like retirement doesn't necessarily mean you just like sit at home and watch Netflix all day. I feel like it lets you go pursue your passion. And a lot of the time nowadays, passions overlap with something that you can make money with too. So I feel like that's like just like a really great thing that Bitcoin can provide for people. And having that hope, you know, just relieves a lot of stress, anxiety, and depression, knowing that like in the future, like even now, just like you can just like feel it like, okay, yeah, I'm going to stack and then I'm going to be able to like actually have a retirement later on. Cause I don't know what else I would have done. They're printing all this money and it's not like we can go turn to gold or silver or anything else really. So it just, I don't know. And it gave me hope for like my future family, being able to give my kids the life that they want so that they don't have to work 9 to 5 forever. I might make them do some kind of job for like a year or two. So it's not just like, oh, here's some Bitcoin and like go do whatever you want. So they can like appreciate it and everything. But being able to like give my kids freedom like that is going to be really amazing. Cause I always thought about that. Like, I don't like where I'm at right now. Why am I going to have a family and kids? And like, then my kids are just going to feel like I'm feeling right now. And that's not great when you're in that 9 to 5, like doing stuff because you have to
The
pay your
fiat,
bills.
the fiat scam again,
Right.
make everything expensive, make you work all the time to improve productivity, but
Yeah.
just become a wage slave effectively. Yeah,
Right.
I feel like Jeff Booth talks about this a lot. Is like the price of tomorrow is like technology is giving us our time back.
Yeah.
Technology is giving us the ability like to almost have like a new renaissance versus like just being shoveled into like cowherded through school, cowherded through university, shoved into a cubicle until we're 65. Like that's
Right.
what fiat is doing to humanity right now. And that doesn't have to be what it's like forever, right? Like it doesn't have to be like that. And I think that Bitcoin gives us hope for that.
Yeah. Yeah. It flips the inflationary money to deflationary, which, they just needed to put a cap on it. I don't know. They just couldn't handle themselves. And yeah, that equals your freedom to, if your money is growing over time, like it just gives you so much time to do all the things that you want to do, go spend with family and friends and like travel.
Yep. No, 100% agree. And I mean, hopefully, all these government crackdowns and lockdowns and all that stuff don't prevent us, our generation, from traveling. But again, I'm hopeful that Bitcoin makes the world flat. Bitcoin opens the world. Bitcoin allows people to live where they want to live, travel, and enjoy this amazing planet, right? So I found it like hilarious. There's people tweeting about this when Jeff Bezos was like going to the moon, and same with what's it called, the guy from Virgin, Richard Branson, and someone was like, the billionaires are trying to like leave Earth for Mars, like while Bitcoiners are trying to save Earth. Like I
Right.
totally think that's the case. Like, you know, Bitcoiners are trying to save Earth. Like we're trying to like, you know,
Yeah.
get a system that's scalable and fair for the planet, you know, while all these like cantillionaires who have like, you know, effectively benefited from the existing system, you know, they're pretty much abandoning it. Just like, you know, use Earth. All right, let's get out of here. It's just so insane.
Yeah. I feel like we need to figure out how to take care of the first planet, because if we just move to another one, we might just destroy that one also. Like I feel like there's just some foundations of some processes and systems that we do right now that's not working, like recycling and other things. But I feel like in some way Bitcoin fixes literally everything. There's just ways to think about it that you wouldn't even think about just because I don't know.
Fix the money, fix the world, Kit.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of comes down to money is information, and Bitcoin potentially offers perfect information, and the current money that we use, the current fiat system, is far from perfect information. If anything, it's the most obfuscated communications layer for pricing we've had in a very long time, and it's making the world into clown world. Like it truly is. Like
Yeah.
no one can properly allocate capital and resources and time, and there's second, third, fourth order effects on that, right? Like how about
Right.
people being schooled to do jobs that no one actually needs? Now they're angry. Like again, like what are the second, third, fourth order effects of, you know, just misaligning everyone's energy, everyone's production, how we use our resources for 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like it really is like there's like the main problem, and then there's all these tiny other ones that just like branch off of that problem that we don't think about, that Bitcoin oddly enough will solve.
So, I mean, let's say you're talking to like one of your friends. They're not hardcore Bitcoiner. They're just a friend in real life, maybe from college or something like that. Like, it's a pretty huge idea to go from like, oh man, the world is fucked. Like, what are we going to do? Like, we need socialism or whatever. Like, the kids are kind of turning to these days to like, wow, open source freedom money can save us, right? Like, how do you go from that to like, wow, like fix the money, fix the world? Like, money is the actual issue here. Like, how do you talk to people about that? Like, what's that? Like, if you're trying to like focus on one friend that you're like, I need to get you into Bitcoin, like, how do you do that?
Right. So I it depends on the person, but like if it's someone who knows finance a lot, I'll push them to like a book, like the Bitcoin Standard, and just hope that they get the same message out of it that I do, and then push more like podcasts and things on that. Normally, I don't take I take it as like this is a really good investment for like your future, and eventually like one sat is going to equal $1, and that kind of gets them like, oh wait, what do you mean? And then I tell them like my price prediction is like from like one of Michael Saylor's interviews, like when Bitcoin gobbles up all of the market caps, I think he said it was like $15 million a coin. So like saying things like that to people, they're like, oh, wait, it's only $50,000 right now, or what, 30,000 at the time of this recording. Or what, almost 40, my bad, 39K. Anyway, who cares about the price? It doesn't matter. Their eyes light up when I say that I feel like this coin is going to be $15 million one day. And they're just like, oh, wow, okay, I should probably get into that. And then I push them to try to get some free Bitcoin. I, chill out my Fold app link and like Lolly and tell them that they can like learn about Bitcoin and figure out what to do with it later and just kind of start stacking a little bit more and more. And then I feel like once someone has a little bit of Bitcoin, they just kind of get more into it and interested in it, and they start to do some self-research. So that's good. But then say like someone like my family, I've been trying to get into Bitcoin for like a while. My brother had an opportunity to mine some back when he worked at Best Buy with some of the people there, and he just hasn't got back into it. I tried to get him back into it around under 10K. And then again at 17K. And I haven't really talked to him about it since, because he just, I don't know. I'm just going to put some Bitcoin aside for my family so that they're okay. And then, I don't know, I've tried to get my dad to like sit down and watch even Michael Saylor interviews with me, like, and he'll fall asleep through halfway through it. Not because it's boring or anything to him. He's older, so he just takes naps all the time, kind of just passes out randomly. So I'm not really sure how he feels about Bitcoin. The older generation, some of them are open to it. I don't think my dad would be. Plus they have a pension. But I'm just going to keep stacking for them so that they'll be okay. So that we can afford food later when we're buying food with sats.
All right, let's take a quick break from that episode. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor. It is Bitcoin 2022 conference. I am sure you saw the videos. You may have been there in person. Bitcoin 2021 was an absolute smashing success. It was the biggest conference in Bitcoin history, crypto history, whatever history of the digital asset sphere. Bitcoin is number one, and the Bitcoin 2021 conference is number one with a bullet. It was an absolutely incredible time. I was working my ass off the whole time, but I got to meet so many incredible community members. And I think the best testament to how amazing Bitcoin 2021 was not just all of the amazing, accolades and compliments that I got personally and our team got, but also it's the skin in the game in Bitcoin 2022. We have already sold close to 1,500 tickets. That is more than 10% of the people, everyone who went to Bitcoin 2021 have already purchased tickets to Bitcoin 2022. We have not released a date. We have not released a city. We have not released anything. That is the biggest compliment. That is the biggest skin in the game of the community being down for this conference. Bitcoin 2022 is going to be bigger than Bitcoin 2021. It is going to be better than Bitcoin 21 in every single way. And we are going to be bringing you the best opportunity to mingle with the biggest, the baddest, the most Bitcoin people on the planet. So join the revolution. Go to b.tc/conference. Get your tickets today. I don't know what the ticket prices are. They are going up. I think they're $249 right now. We just rolled out fiat ticket purchases. All the tickets purchased before today were all purchased in BTC. So get it, guys. Get it. Get this ticket. Be at Bitcoin 2022. See you there. Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree that you kind of have to handhold your family members because, okay, your friends, you can try to convince them. It's ultimately their choice. But I feel like your family, it's more important that you take care of them. I've learned that just give them Bitcoin as a gift. A lot of people have Cash App. You can just send people buy me something and then they'll request on Cash App. I'll deny it and then I'll just send them Bitcoin instead. Now you have Bitcoin. Okay, here you go. The last few weddings I went to, Bitcoin gifts. The last 3 Christmases, Bitcoin gifts. All my nephews, Bitcoin. That's all you get. Nice. It's $20 in dollars or $30 in Bitcoin. what do you pick? They're like, all right, I'll take Bitcoin. And then like, they'll look at it like, oh my God, it's $130.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just, they got to get some skin in the game. And then pops won't fall asleep. Mom, hey mom, just trust me, stack sats on Cash App. It'll be fine. And then, she comes back and it's like, whoa, like what
Yeah.
happened? Gets their
Yeah.
attention.
Right. Yeah. When the price goes up. My mom was a little bit better about it than my dad. Anytime I walked into the room with my mom, she was just like telling me the price of Bitcoin. And I'm like, this is cute that she keeps checking it out. And then also my friend that I went on that road trip last month with, I made her listen to the Bitcoin Standard on audiobook with me in the car. I think she was enjoying it. But yeah, we listened to it on the car ride the whole way there. She said she was gonna reread it again because there's a lot of dense information in there that you kind of want to highlight and make some notes on. So that's another way you can just like make them sit down next to you and listen to the whole 17 hours of a book. That's a good way to orange pill someone.
Yeah, I mean, listening to the Bitcoin Standard definitely helped me out a lot. But it's tough. Like you got to like get them interested in some way. But the beautiful thing is that the Bitcoin Center is just the beginning. Now, like I don't know if you see my bookshelf, but there's like about 15 different ways that you can orange pill someone, right? Like,
Right.
thank God for Bitcoin, the little Bitcoin book, inventing Bitcoin. Be it. I think there's the children's book, Bitcoin Money. That's it. Bitcoin Magazine. There's just so much like out there, and there's a lot of different avenues that people can get orange pilled. I was recently watching Ross Stevens talk, which is kind of equivalent to Michael Saylor in terms of like the eloquency in which he talks about Bitcoin and NIDIG and other institutions getting into Bitcoin and why Bitcoin matters. So, eventually everyone's going to come to the light.
Yeah. Eventually everyone's going to have to because there isn't anything else.
Yeah.
Where are they going
So,
to go?
so one thing I noticed and kind of noticed it from meeting you, but like, you're not only like Bitcoin's like alternative monetary system, but you're kind of into alternative explanations for a lot of things that are happening around, right? Like I think there's a lot of narratives, there's a lot of like sheeple following, like just whatever's coming out of CNN. But Kit's into some conspiracies from what I can tell. Can you kind of talk a little about like you know just finding information on the internet and some of these rabbit holes that you're going down?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I feel like when you see something on the internet, my first thought always is that true or not? And like you want to go and find other sources and just kind of wait and see like how it's going to play out. Like is it actually true or not? But it's hard nowadays. People can like edit videos. They can just like make things up and make it look like something else. So I feel like social media just I use social media more in a business way where I go on and I'm posting for Bitcoin Magazine or my blog. I'm using it on the side of like a content creator, which I'm really grateful for because I don't know how people go on these social media channels and just consume it all day long. It's really negative. It's not good for your mind or your consciousness. I'm very big on like what goes into my consciousness, it goes to my subconscious, and then that's kind of what shows up into my reality. I mean, there's some things that you can do, of course, like you can accept a thought or not accept a thought. But anyway, there's just so much getting thrown at you all day long that's super negative. And it really takes some critical thinking skills, which shout out to James Madison University. Like that was the one thing out of college, I guess I got and some fun. But it really takes some critical thinking of like, does this make sense? What are the pros and cons of this thing coming out? Like the vaccines, like I'm not anti-vax. There's been vaccines that I'm sure saved my life when I was a kid, but it all seems really odd to me right now with how it's rolling out. There's a third vaccine coming out, and there's really no studies on like how this affects you in the long run. And that's my thing. I just want to know how it's going to affect me and make sure that it's rolled out correctly and that it's worth it. Um, so a lot of critical thinking stuff there. Like, I think people should be able to make their own decisions on if they want to do something or not. It's America. We've got freedom. We fought for that a really long time ago, and so it's important for people to be able to decide and read through the facts. Like, go to the websites. People fight with you when you're going to the CDC website and you're pulling a quote or like sending them a URL directly to there, and they're just losing their minds out there. I don't know. Um, I think the lockdowns were really bad for people. I think people get into their head too much and they don't know how to meditate or deal with their feelings. And so they're taking it out on society now. And like, they're not getting the picture and like thinking things through, I feel like, on a lot of this stuff that's happened the last year. And I feel people are bad at looking at history, and I don't think it's everyone's fault. I feel like maybe even sometimes history is rewritten or they don't put certain things in it, and we repeat that, which sucks. Because it's better to learn from your mistakes and move forward. But I'm just looking at like past pandemics. I feel like I read somewhere that it just kind of mentioned that lockdowns were bad and that like it doesn't matter. Like if you're in them or not, you're going to still have the same consequences from it. Just things like that. I feel like are kind of they're conspiracy theories, but they're also like the word conspiracy theory gets thrown around so much that you can just say anything's a conspiracy theory. And then there's going to be like a group of people on the internet who are going to push it. You'll see these text messages that these long paragraphs that are like repeated by certain accounts over and over and over again. And it's just like, what do you do? Like, what is Facebook or Twitter? How do they stop that kind of spam from going out? I feel like they have a lot of challenges with misinformation spread online.
Well, yeah, like there's challenges with misinformation spread, and then the government is like, all right, well, we have to be the central arbiter of truth, right? To quash this. It's just like so
Right.
clowny.
I think we
Because
need to
like
look
we
at,
know that they don't like arbit truth at all. They just arbit an agenda and short-term thinking.
right. I think we need to go back and look at like what are the responsibilities of the government? How are they supposed to be serving us? Are they serving us in the right way? And if they're not, like, what do we do in those cases? Like, who should we elect instead in those positions? And I think that falls short because some people just aren't into like voting, and it takes a lot of time to like research these people. So I'm hoping that a lot of people in the Bitcoin community start popping up. Like, we've got some senators and representatives now that are starting to look really good. So like Loomis and Davis. So I'm excited for that. I think that that'll help a lot. Cause like once you get Bitcoin in the government, then I feel like they can start doing their job better for the branches that we want to keep around, because like I don't know about the Fed. Like they've kind of, I don't know how the Fed and Bitcoin would align together. And I
Fed
feel
is irrelevant.
like, right.
Here's my take about the Fed and Bitcoin. Okay, so are you familiar with the history of like the search engine wars, like
You have to
Google
refresh
versus
my mind
Yahoo,
a little
Google
bit. I lived
versus
through it, but
Ask.com and that kind of stuff?
askjeeves.com. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty much, before Google, the strategy to index the internet was like have people manually curate websites into a directory. It's almost like Yellow Pages strategy, but for the internet. And that's like what Yahoo did. Like Yahoo was the biggest manual curator, right? And then Google came in and the co-founders of Google, and they started doing keywords and kind of automated ranking with their keyword formula. And Google just crushed everyone. just absolutely annihilated all the competition, despite Yahoo already being there for much longer and, having a team of humans curating the internet, right? So Google just had a much more scalable, automated way to curate the internet, and they absolutely destroyed Yahoo. And that's what Bitcoin is going to do to all central bankers, all central curators of monetary policy around the globe. Like, Bitcoin is destroying them with automated monetary policy. Finite supply, halvings happening. I think it was incredible to watch. Like, the last halving in 2020, May of 2020, pretty much what happened was, there was crisis. All the governments were printing, all the governments were in lockdown, and then Bitcoin, in the midst of the crisis, cuts the block reward in half. Like, Bitcoin does not care. And I just that's the difference, right? And Bitcoin's just going to automate that perfect monetary policy and destroy all central banking. So, like, the Fed and Bitcoin, like, the Fed better hold Bitcoin, otherwise it's just going to, not have any upside from becoming irrelevant.
Right. Like, even if they hold Bitcoin, it's kind of like, what are you guys even doing now? what are your tasks? And, like, I feel like they're kind of doomed. But there's a lot of ideas and things I haven't thought of, so maybe they'll figure out how to keep above water.
Kit, this is a really fun conversation. Like I said many times, I'm so happy to have you on the BTC Inc. team, the Bitcoin Magazine team, the Earn Carrot team, and the Bitcoin Conference team. You're helping us across the org. You are an absolute legend, workhorse, amazing Bitcoiner. So glad that you are in this community. Why don't you tell people, where they can find you? Maybe give a last word or shout out to the Bitcoiners out there.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for having me on the podcast again. And I freaking love working here. It's so awesome. Everyone can find me on my lifestyle blog, www.kitstanwood.com. You can find me on Twitter at kit_sats. And yeah, that's the best way to reach me. And make sure you guys are stretching, drinking water, stacking sats, and making sure you're running your own nodes and having your Bitcoin in cold storage. So let's freaking go.
Love it. Stack sats, hold your own Bitcoin. This crazy Senate bill that's kind of being thrust upon us that has this crazy crypto clause might make it harder for you to pull out your Bitcoin and not be tracked. So, get as much of your coin off exchanges right now, today. Do not wait.
Thanks for having me on, CK.
Yeah. And hey, Bitcoiners, after you're done pulling your sats off an exchange, putting it into your own cold storage, make sure to follow me at CK_Snarks. Make sure to follow Bitcoin Magazine at Bitcoin Magazine. Give us those 5-star reviews. Where can people find us on Twitter? On Instagram and Pinterest and all the other places where you are kind of managing the content?
Absolutely. So to go off of that, we've got some giveaways going on. So make sure you go check that out, which ones we have. Next month, we're giving away 10 conference tickets to Bitcoin 2022 because we made our 10-year anniversary on Twitter, which is at Bitcoin Magazine. So go follow us over there. On Instagram, it's Real Bitcoin Magazine. And on Pinterest, it's the same, pinterest.com/real Bitcoin Magazine. You can also find us on Twitter. We're on Reddit, YouTube, so go subscribe over there as well. Both of those are Real Bitcoin Magazine. I think YouTube is just Bitcoin Magazine. So yeah, go follow us everywhere and sign up for our mailing list too. The daily mailing list is awesome.
All right, you heard it here, guys. Make sure to follow Bitcoin Magazine everywhere. Again, Kit has her hands everywhere there. And go follow Kit at on Twitter and everywhere that she's at too. All right, y'all. That's enough of us. Peace.